Welcome to Bharta, a program from Center for Indic Studies at UMass Dartmouth in collaboration with the DCTV. Today we have a special guest in Genevieve Ryder, who is editor-in-chief of the journal Light on Ayurveda. You can see the journal's cover page there. And welcome.
Thank you.
Genevieve. I am very grateful that you are here today and participating in Bharta program, which means a dialogue, an Indic voice. I want to ask you, of course, about this journal.
All right.
And the word Ayurveda, light on Ayurveda, is not something that people know automatically.
That's
so
true.
what do you would like to say to people who do not know what Ayurveda is? What is Ayurveda?
Ayurveda, the word itself means science of life. And it is a study of natural life, natural rhythms, and the ancient sages. This goes all the way back at least 5,000 years, perhaps more, where the sages were observing what went on around them and what the systems were that were in operation in the universe. So they were probably one of our first scientists that were operating then. It's a sister science to yoga, but yoga came to the United States a long time before Ayurveda has. So that's...
When you think Ayurveda came, how long ago?
I know it started to become more known when Dr. Vasant Lad came here, and that was in the 1980s, although Maharishi Mahesh Yogi also brought it a bit too when he came. And so it's in the 1980s, I think, became more well known here, or more, it was beginning to take root here.
Is herbal medicine is a good substitute for calling it Ayurveda?
There's a lot of different herbal medicines, and I would say that's probably would not fully take in Ayurveda, because you can be into herbal medicine and, basically just study the herbs that are around us here. Of course, in Ayurveda, they are utilizing the herbs that they used in India that have been tried and trued through the years. But they're not just using herbs. They're also looking at a person's lifestyle, at their diet, looking at their how they sleep, what they do for their life. So and when they make corrections in those arenas, then they can achieve a good health. Mainly in that the Western medicine, focuses very much on the symptomatology that people present to them. And they've devised many different pharmaceutical products that they have to address these symptoms. And in Ayurveda, they're really looking for the root cause. So they're burrowing a lot deeper into not just you come to the practitioner with a headache, and then really not looking to say, well, take 2 Tylenol and you'll be all right. They're saying, let's take a look at what is going on in your life that causes these headaches. And from there, they will work at that cause to create a healing.
So would you consider Ayurveda to be a substitute for traditional medicine? Or would this be a complementary?
Because of the advances that Western medicine has made, especially in acute medicine, such as emergency and surgery and a lot of very acute things, I would say that it would be, at this point, complementary rather than a system that you would use totally.
Where do you think people learn about Ayurveda? How do they learn?
Well, there are schools cropping up across the country. There's new schools coming up every day, or it seems like every day. It's not every day. I went to a school in Boston, and it happens to not be in existence any longer, but there are some. There's now a wonderful school in Kripalu School of Ayurveda in Lenox, Mass. For those who are interested about Massachusetts, we have schools all down the East Coast to New Jersey and Virginia, Maryland, going down into Florida. There's quite a bit of Ayurveda in Florida. There's a lot of Ayurveda on the West Coast because many of the schools are out there, the California College of Ayurveda. And of course, Dr. Ladd had established a wonderful school and Ayurvedic center in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So there tends to be an accumulation of people around those centers. Mm-hmm. But then again, people will travel a long distance to study Ayurveda. In my class in Boston, which would be held on weekends, we would have a 2.5-day weekend once a month. There were people who came all the way from Mexico, and they had to have it translated for them, but they made that journey. So.
Translated? What do you mean by translated?
Oh, they came from Mexico, so they didn't speak English.
Oh, so it
yes.
has to be Spanish.
Translated,
yeah.
Yes.
But so Ayurveda knowledge is available in English?
It's available in English. It's also very, very popular in Europe and in Australia. There are schools in Australia. I have subscribers from Japan, China, Africa,
So the journal is kind of helping that out. But the original language in which Ayurvedic knowledge is
Sanskrit.
Is
yes.
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit.
And do you have to know Sanskrit?
Certainly, if you were going to be a serious student of Ayurveda, you would have to learn some Sanskrit because some terms simply, you try to find a good English equivalent, but they don't fully translate. So you really you'd have to learn some Sanskrit.
So you know some Sanskrit?
I know some Sanskrit, yes.
And where did you learn that? In the Ayurvedic school?
In the Ayurvedic school.
So they teach language also?
They don't teach it separately. They teach the terms. As you're studying it, you learn the terms and you learn the meanings to the terms. So that's
how did you get interested in this?
How did I get interested? My background was as a nurse, and I went for my bachelor's degree after I finished my nursing school. So I was very much Western science. I mean, that was to me the most important way to look at that. So when I saw articles or saw things on television about holistic medicine and different ways to look at it, I just kind of blanked it out. It wasn't anything that I thought was feasible. But there came a time in my life, and it came in 1996 or so, that I had become very debilitated with headaches and extreme fatigue. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I couldn't wait to get into bed right after a meal. I couldn't wait to get to bed at night. And I had a whole family to take care of. Very depressed at that time. So, but mainly because of the headaches and the fatigue. And I went to my doctor and I went through all the tests that she recommended, and she finally had a consult with me, and she said, "I have good news, you are perfectly healthy." I said, "Oh, but," and she said, "No, your tests show you're perfectly healthy, And I said, "If this is health, this is not the way I want to live, So a friend had said, "Well, there's a doctor here in Worcester, and you want to see him." So I made an appointment, and as I went in the door, there was a sign outside, and it said that he was an Ayurvedic physician, and I didn't know what that was, but I said, well, maybe he has the key for my health. So I